Hello beautiful people, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal and this is Bond Book Reviews. Today we're going to be updating my entire GoodReads want to read list. I've wanted to do this for a while and I figured I may as well take you along for the ride. At the moment I have my books on GoodReads currently on, I think it's 6 different shelves, maybe 7. I have my Audible TBR, I have my bookshelf TBR, which is my physical ones. I have my Kindle TBR, and then I also have my Libro FM TBR and my NetGalley TBR. Well, I also have obviously the want to read list, which I've been adding to since, I don't know, 2017-ish or so. And obviously there's books that are on that want to read list that I don't currently own or aren't currently on any of my shelves. And they're just kind of there. I've marked them to read and I don't even know they exist anymore. So I'm going to go through that want to read list and I'm going to kind of start to put it into stuff I want to borrow and stuff I want to buy physical copies of, and then unhaul the rest of them, get them off that list so that they are no longer taking up that space on that want to read list. And the reason I'm going to do this is I'm going to be adding a prompt to my PickPong jar that pretty much says want to read, and this is going to be, I'm going to do a random number generator on this entire want to read list should it come up. So it may be a book that's already on my shelf, or it may be a book that I just want to read, either buy or borrow. As we go through this, obviously with there being 815 books, my plan is to kind of only really deal with any books that are just to read. So if they're already on currently on my shelf or something like that, I'm not going to deal with them. We already know I own them, etc. So it's just going to be these to read ones that I have marked as wanting to read but don't actually own, etc. So all we're going to be doing is pretty much adding them to my to borrow, to buy, or completely remove from the list. So make sure you grab yourself a cup of tea because we're probably going to be here for a while. It may get a little bit repetitive. I'm probably going to skip some things as we go. I don't know. We're just going through this together, and yeah, if there's any books that I mentioned that you think I should 100% have kept that I delete, or any that I keep that you think I should delete, let me know in the comments down below. Anthony is currently working from home at the moment, so if he gets a work call, I'm going to have to stop because the walls are so thin you'll be able to hear him. But we're just going to dive on in and see how we go. So first up is a Frederick Bachman. This is 100% going straight to the to buy list. I eventually want to collect all of his books, so there's no hesitation in that whatsoever. Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I started this book from the library ages ago and then never finished it. But I do eventually want to read it, but I don't really want to own it. So I'm going to put that in the to borrow category. Little Bee by Chris Leave. Some of these I have been on here since 2017. I don't even remember what they're about. So okay, I think I'm going to keep that one on there. I'm going to add that to my to borrow list. Unbroken, I've heard really good things about. Obviously, that was turned into a movie, which I've seen. So part of me is kind of if I've seen the movie, will I ever read it? Probably not. So we're just going to get that one off that list. Dear Aaron, I've heard really good things about. Probably don't need to own a physical copy though, so I'm happy to add that one to the borrow list. The Bridge to Holy Cross, I am trying to collect all of Paulina Simon's books, so I'm going to add that to the to buy list because I currently have most of her other stuff, but I am still yet to collect that one. Little Fires Everywhere, I've looked into it a bit further. I kind of got on the hype of this one and was oh, everyone tells me to read it. I think I'm just going to say not necessary at this point and get rid of it. Same with a Sophie Kinsella. I think that's 2017 Crystal was interested in Sophie Kinsella, but me not so much, so I'm going to get rid of that one. Emery's Gift, I love Bruce Cameron, so I do eventually want to collect all of theirs. So I'm going to add that to the to buy list. I'm thinking of ending things. I know that Jess from Biblioberg has suggested that I read this, but I don't think I want to own a copy, so I'm going to add that to the to borrow list. Most of these I already own. This one I own book 1, 2, and 3 of, and I've only read book 1 halfway through. So I kind of eventually would want to own all 4 if I do like 4 and 5 if I do like book 1 and like, but I mean it's been on my TBR since 2019 and I've only read half of book 1. But what I have read I've enjoyed. So I'm going to add them to the to buy list and be that person that like collects series that doesn't need them, and we're going to go from there. Keep going. Sophie Rinaldi, I've heard that this is a really good romance. I own Sorry Not Sorry, but I haven't read it. So I think I want to wait until I've read this one by Sophie Rinaldi before I bother with this one. So I might just take it off the list for now, and I can always put it back on once I've read the other Sophie Rinaldi and see if I want to like bring it back in. I'm kind of wanting to be pretty harsh with this list because it's too long. I am eventually trying to collect all of Jodi Picoult's books, and Where There's Smoke I don't currently own, so that is going to go on the to buy list. The Nanny I've heard really good things about, but I probably don't need to own a physical copy, so I can borrow that one. I tend to not really like to own a lot of physical copies of thrillers. That's like a total lie, I have so many, but I mean I don't like to buy them unless I get them super cheap, because once I've read them once I don't tend to read them a second time because they're kind of like the thrill is gone, so I don't think I need to own it. The 2 Lila Bennetts, one of those things, again, got on the bandwagon of like having serious FOMO, but probably not something I need to own, probably something I can just read and pass on. My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This is another one that like Bookstagram went absolutely crazy with, along with An Anonymous Girl. They're 2 apparently really good thrillers, but I'm probably happy to just borrow either one of those. I don't really need to own a physical copy. Looking further into Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield, I probably can say goodbye to that one on this list and just move on, because I feel like if I kept every book on here that I got excited because I saw multiple people talk about on Bookstagram, this whole list would just stay. So I need to be a little bit more strict. Now, this Tender Land is one of those ones I borrowed from the library and just like never got to it. But so many of my friends have been like, you really need to read this. You're a fan of Kristen Hanna. You will love it. Please, like, pick it up. It's just really chunky. So like, it's like 450 pages. So I'm not sure. You know what? I'll keep it on there for now, but I'm not going to buy a physical copy. I am going to borrow it if I'm ever going to read it. This one here, The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff, I only added to this list because I was interested in like some new historical fictions. But yeah, I read something else by Pam and wasn't a huge fan, so I don't think I need to keep that on the list. Absolutely loved Lilac Girls. I don't currently own a physical copy of it though, so for this I think I can just borrow that. Same with The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. I probably don't need to own it. I can just borrow that. I mean, most of these I can probably just borrow. Prior to the Orange Tree, I eventually want to own. I would love to get a hard copy, like a hardback copy, just because it's such a stunning book. But you can get it for like $16 for paperback at like Big W and things like that. But I think I've been holding out to try and get the hard hardback edition, so that's probably why I haven't bought it yet. So I'll put that on the to buy list. $10,000 of January. I want to read, but I don't really want to actually pay for it anymore. It is a stunning cover, but I have real hesitation about like books within books stories, and I have heard mixed reviews about this. I know one of the girls in my book club said she didn't mind it, but yeah. So I'm gonna put it on the to borrow. I still want to read it eventually, but I'm not in like a huge rush. Meet Cute, again, romances tend not to need to worry about owning a physical copy of them. I'm happy to just borrow those unless they're from an author that I absolutely adore and want to collect all of their works, like Christina Lauren or Colleen Hoover or something like that. So I think I'm happy to just borrow that one. I don't even remember putting The Need on my list. When Molly, home alone with two young children, hears footsteps in the living room, she tries to convince herself it's the sleep deprivation. She's been hearing things these days. Startling at loud noises and imagining the worst case scenario. It's what mothers do, she knows. But then the footsteps come again and she catches a glimpse of movement. Suddenly, Molly finds herself face to face with an intruder who knows far too much about her and her family. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds creepy AF. So we're going to add that to the to borrow list. I've heard really good things about Full Throttle. My co-host Courtney from my podcast has like recommended this to me so much. She actually recommends Horns more, but she thinks that I would really enjoy Full Throttle as well. And because I know that my dad would also really enjoy this book, I think I'm going to buy it. So even if I don't like it, I can pass it on to dad. No One's Home, I think, is another thriller that Courtney recommended to me. For fans of The Haunting of Hill House. I am starting to want to read more horrors. I'm finding myself wanting that like spook factor. I feel like the psychological thrillers are really starting to like bore me. So I wouldn't mind something with a bit more like bite to it. So maybe this is what we need. Let's see if anyone I know has read it and reviewed it. Not really. A few people I trust have marked it as to read. I know that Amanda from Lilacs and Literature like is a huge thriller fan. Mandy and I have very similar reading tastes, but it doesn't look like anyone I know has reviewed it. So let's keep it on there, but we're not going to buy it. We are just going to add it to the to borrow list. The Girl in Red, 100% I want to buy. It's like a Red Riding Hood spooky like retelling, I believe, from my recollection of me adding that back in like November 2019. Three Women. I feel like Cassidy. No. Who did I see speak about this? I feel like someone mentioned this and it was one of those books that, what do they call it? Women's fiction or general literature, which like I'm not a huge fan of. So I'm going to say goodbye to that one. And same with Know My Name. Again, I added a bunch of these just because I was new to Bookstagram and everyone was talking about them and I was like, I've got to keep up to date with the what's popular. And I think I've slowly started to really get to know like my reading taste since then. So I think that's why I can be a little bit more harsh. Definitely want to buy a copy of this. I feel like I will really enjoy this. It is I think it's like a true story. Crystal literally says that, the true story of a woman who is a spy in World War II, which is just like so up my alley. So that is definitely one I would like to buy. This is apparently along the same lines. I think I found these three recommendations kind of at the same time. But I feel like I'm more inclined to want to own a copy of this. This one I'm just going to put in the to borrow list and we can worry about it later. I can always buy a copy after I read it if I really love it. I'm not sure if it follows similar people or the same story because it does seem very similar, but yeah, we'll see. This one I want to buy. I feel like I'm really going to enjoy that. I feel like that's going to be a 5-star read. So I'd love to have copies of my 5-star reads. So anything that's kind of like a 5-star prediction, I'm happy to purchase. This one is another one that I want to read, but I'm not sure I want to invest money in it until I know it's worth getting a copy. So I might borrow that one. Colleen, my friend from Coco Elise, read this, I believe, and she wasn't a huge fan, so I'm just going to not even bother keeping that on there. Same with A Woman Is No Man. Just kind of looking into it further, probably not anything I want to like run. I'm not like wanting to run out and grab a copy like I thought I would be, so it's probably okay to go. Now, the most fun we ever had is another one that like was super popular, obviously back in like 2019 when it was released. It is a chonker. It's 532 pages, but I do love like a multi-generational novel. Like I feel like they're my jam. And I know that so many people have read it that I trust, and really like I've given it like 4 or 5 stars. Like Craze Book Club, Book and Diner, Lilacs and Literature, Randy, like so many people. Reading Mummy, Shelf Love, oh, Lola and Pookie, so many of these people. Even Courtney's read it. Oh no, she's marked it as to read. But a lot of these people, like, I trust. So I'm just going to keep that one on there as a to borrow. This is another one I want to read but don't really want to invest in. So we're going to add that to the to borrow list. I think this is going to be too young for me now. It's very YA, I've heard. So we're just going to get rid of Two Can Keep a Secret. Mountains of Silence. We definitely want to add that to the to borrow list because Hannah, my friend from Hannah Reads 2020, said that it wasn't as good as she thought it was going to be. So, yes. Four Dead Queens, I think we can say goodbye to. I added it out of a whim because I saw the cover and it was very similar to like a lot of stuff that was popular at the time. Tessa Bailey, I am yet to try Tessa Bailey, so I think I can just remove her from my list and I'll just try whichever one comes across my span of vision first. Again with Ask Again, yes, looked into it a bit further, got caught up in wanting to read it because everyone else had spoken about it, but I think I can get rid of it. Unless you guys think otherwise, like let me know if you think that I should add that back on. Bum, bum, bum. I have heard really good things about why zebras don't get ulcers. It is a very unique story, but it is huge. Like it's over 500 pages, and it's non-fiction, I believe. So it's like all about dealing with stress, etc. And like I love the idea of it, but I don't know if I can commit to 560 pages of being told how not to stress. So I think we're going to have to say goodbye to it. One Day in December, that romance novel that everyone tells me to read every year in December, I guess we'll add it to the to borrow list. Confess, Colleen Hoover, we're trying to collect all of her, so we're going to add that to the to buy. 1984 by George Orwell, I've actually read, so we can close that off my list. Like, I don't know why it's still on my to read list. Okay, there we are. The Right Swipe we can add to our to borrow list. I think all romances are just going to end up in my borrow list. I don't really bother buying them unless I get them for super cheap at a secondhand store. Whereas these kind of series, eventually I like to own. Like I don't know why, I'm just like to collect fantasy series. So we're going to add those to the to buy list. Hopefully, yes, we have another one by Colleen Hoover. So we're going to add that to the to buy list. This one we can say goodbye to. The Sisters by Claire Douglas. I just feel like, I know it's really bad, but if the GoodReads rating is less than 4, I tend to kind of like shy away. It's probably a really bad attitude for me to have, but anyways. There was still love. Yes. I have no idea. I think this was a cover ad because I saw the cover and was like, I like foxes. I mean, I don't know. It's that literary fiction category that like I'm so nervous reading because they're so hit and miss. They're so hit and miss. I think I'm going to get rid of it, but let me know if you think There Was Still Love by Favel Paret is worth re-adding to my radar. But I just think, yeah, I don't know. I've become a little bit little bit more harsh on those literary fiction because they're so hit and miss for me. Taylor Jenkins Reads, I probably want to, like, I originally wanted to buy all of hers, but I think I'm happy to just borrow them. All Your Perfects, we have a to buy. With The Fire on High, I still want to read. I love Elizabeth Acevedo's other writing, and the cover is stunning, but I think I'm just going to borrow it to start with. Skyward by Brandy Sandy, we want to buy. Dark Matter, I probably want to buy because I loved Recursion by Blake Crouch, so probably want to add it to my collection because his other one is on my list. Armada by Ernest Cline, we probably want to buy. The Forgotten Book, I have a feeling that this was a cover ad, not because I was actually interested. Oh, yes. So I've read the book Jumper and I wasn't a huge fan. So I think we can take this one off the list. Okay, so we're like 150 in and we've been filming for like a while. Sorry guys, this is gonna be a long video. The Lying Room, I don't even remember adding it. I either don't remember adding these or they were added just because everyone spoke about them. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to keep this one because a lot of people that I trust have only given it like 3 stars. And when it comes to thrillers, I need them to give me 4 stars or more. Because the people that read thrillers that like the same kind of thrillers as me have given it 3 stars. So I think it's okay for me to say goodbye to this one. A Heart So Fierce and Broken, we need to buy. To buy? I own that. Why is it not? Okay. Excuse me, but that is currently on my shelf. And it is on my bookshelf TBR. Fixed. A Wrinkle in Time, we can remove. Same with Water for Elephants. I don't think I need to read the book. I'll just watch the movie. Pillars of the Earth is on Anthony's shelf. I don't need to keep that in my sights. If I want to read it, I've got a copy on his shelf. The Colour Purple, I definitely want to own a copy of, so that's going to go on the to buy list. Clockwork Orange, I want to read, but I don't want to own, so we're happy to borrow that one. Animal Farm, I started the audiobook and was not a fan, so we're going to add that to the DNF list because it was, yeah, just no. Catcher in the Rye, don't really want to own it, so I can just take that one off. I obviously went through a classics list when I was adding these ones. Gone with the Wind, I definitely want to read, but I don't want to own a copy, so we're just going to add that to the to borrow list. Same with Fahrenheit 451. Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. I want to read a Sally Hepworth because everyone says that she's amazing, but I probably won't bother buying it, so I'm happy to borrow it. 10 Blind Dates, I actually feel like I'll really enjoy, so I'm going to add that to the buy list. Same with Shipbreaker. Who was it? I can't think of her channel name. She has pet goats and she is hilarious, and I cannot for the life of me think of her channel name, but I'll put her up here so you can see her wherever. I've got an empty place on the screen, but she talked about Shipbreaker like it was the best thing she'd read in a really long time. So I added it immediately. Actually, she did a haul. She did a book haul and mentioned it, and so I just added it straight away because I was like, yep, need to read. This one I think is another one of those, The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, I think is another one of those literary fiction. Yeah, magical realism, lyrical prose, da-da-da, not really my jam anymore. I'm just going to not even bother. Furiously Happy, I want to borrow, but I don't want to buy. Such a Fun Age, I think we can get rid of. It was a Instagram made me want to add it situation. Same with The Dutch House. Just, I don't know, just doesn't seem like my thing. You guys will probably turn around and be like, Krista, why are you getting rid of all of these really good books and just keeping like the shitty YA romancy shit? Well, that's all my brain can handle right now, so I'm sorry, but that's where we're at. Fleishman is in Trouble by Taffy Broadus the Ankner. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that. So Jess from Biblioberg really liked this one. A couple of others that I trust have given it like 3 stars. A lot of people have marked it as wanting to read. We'll keep it on there, but we're not going to buy it. We're going to add it to our borrow list. All the Stars and Teeth is another one that like I want to read, but I'm not like chomping at the bit. Let me know if I'm missing anything, but I think it's okay for me to just take it off the list. Incendiary, I don't even remember adding this. It's a stunning cover though. Well, a lot of my friends have marked it as to read. Maybe we need to do a buddy read of this one or something. I will keep it around. We'll see. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read Incendiary and if you think it is worth a read. For now, we are just going to put it on the to borrow list just because I'm not invested enough in it to want a physical copy. As we know, we can take off this list. I think I'm all good not reading that. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Same with The Last Resort. It's those thrillers that like turn around and end up being, oh, she was crazy, or blame the main character because of her mental health. I've just kind of, that trope has been overdone. That's just where I'm at. This one, Time and Time Again by Ben Elton, was suggested to me by someone that I did a first aid course with that I got talking about books, but I think it can go. I mean, I borrowed it from the library and never got to it, so I think it's okay for it to be removed from the list. Meet Me at Lennon's was I think, a historical fiction. University student Olivia Wells sets out on her quest to find an unpublished manuscript by Gloria Graham, a now obscure mid-20th century feminist and writer. She unwittingly uncovers details about a young woman found murdered, strangled with a nylon stocking in the mangroves and the banks of the river in wartime Brisbane. The case soon becomes known as the River Girl murder. Olivia's detective work exposes the sinister side of the city in 1943, flushed with greenbacks and nylons, jealousy and violence brewing between the Australian and US soldiers. which evidently boiled over in the infamous Battle of Brisbane. Okay, historical fictions based in Australia, there aren't many of them, so I'm going to keep that on there because I feel like it will be different if I need like historical fiction but with a little bit of a difference to it. So we're going to add that to the to borrow list. I absolutely love Alex Lake. I went and just added like every single one of his books to my want to read list after reading one of his books. So we're going to add those all to my to buy list because that was it was such a good time. So we're just going to not even care what the book is. We're just going to trust in the author. Iron and Glass we can get rid of. For me, that was just a cover, everyone kind of talked about it book that I added to the list. On the Same Page by Penelope Janu. I really loved Penelope Janu's other book, Up on Horseshoe Hill, so we're going to add that to the to buy list because I know she has author events in Australia all the time, so I will be able to get a copy of that and get it signed by her like I did with Up on Horseshoe Hill. The Paris Secret by Natasha Lester is another Australian author I love to support, so I definitely want to add that to the to buy list. Kristen Hanna, I'm trying to collect, so Angel Falls can add on to the buy list. Two Lives of Lydia Bird, I think is going to be a 5-star, so we're going to add that on the to buy list. Little Secrets, I feel like is one of those thrillers that is going to be amazing, but I'm not going to buy it, I'm just going to borrow it. Vashti Hardy, I have adored, and Gav from How to Train Your Gavin absolutely loves this series or this particular book. So we're going to add that in the to buy list because my middle grade owned section is severely lacking. Same with Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. I feel like that's worth getting. And A Wish in the Dark. I clearly was watching a Gavin video when I added all of these to my list. You can always coincide the trends of when things are added based on like what was going on in my life. Add that to the to buy list. Witches of Ash and Ruin. I feel like someone said that if I'm a fan of ACOTAR that I would like Witches of Ash and Ruin. But I haven't really looked too much further into it, so I'm going to put it on a borrow list for now until I know more. Red Sister, I definitely want to buy this series. Cassidy from Pages with Cassidy, I think is her channel name, absolutely adores this series, so I trust that it's going to be a good time, and the rating definitely supports that. Everyday Magic, I think we can get rid of. That was probably another one that I saw Gav talk about, but yeah, I'm just not invested enough to want to keep it. Dear Martin, I definitely want to read, but probably don't want to buy, so we're just going to borrow that one. Same with Children of Blood and Bone, because I've heard mixed reviews about the rest of the series, so I think borrowing that one is going to be the safest option. However, Black Girl Unlimited, I definitely want to own, as well as Clap When You Land. The Stars and the Blackness Between Them, I have no idea what this is about. Oh, so it's like a black queer romance. A lot of people have marked it to read, but not a lot of people have actually read it. So, interesting. I'll add that into the to borrow list. Monday's Not Coming, I am going to add to my to buy list. And same with The Weight of Stars. These are all books that I've had on my radar for quite some time, especially Sugar as well. These are all like, nope, I want to buy these. Ones that I've wanted to own for a while and just haven't ended up getting them. The Selected Letters of Ralph Ellison, I got recommended from one of, I feel like it was one of the POC Instagrammers that I follow that said it would be life-changing to anyone who wants to learn more or become more of an ally and supporter. So I definitely want to read it for sure. A Court of Miracles, I already own. Pet, we want to own a copy of 100%. Same with the Black Flamingo. There's. I feel like these are all self-explanatory. They're so popular, they're so loved, and they have the ratings to back them up. So yeah, Tangled in Ivy, I found when I was doing my RTHF episodes. It came up as a suggested fantasy, I believe it was. And yeah, I definitely want to own a copy of that one. Catherine House. I have mixed feelings about Catherine House because so many people love it, but it's to me, I think it falls under like dark academia, which like isn't really my thing. So I think I'm just gonna say goodbye to it and be okay with that. End of her. Absolutely no idea. Now, what I'm going to do is, because there is so many books on this list, the want to read list is 780 long. I might get to a halfway point. So half of 780 is 350, 390. So we might get to book 390 and then we'll stop. And I might do this in a 2-part video. So if you like what you see and you do want to see a part 2, let me know and I can do that. But for now, I think it's just going to get too long if I do this all in one video. So we're going to split it into 2 parts. So when we get to 390, we'll stop. So The End of Her by Shari Lapina. It starts with a shocking accusation. Stephanie and Patrick are recently married with newborn twins. While Stephanie struggles with the disorienting effect of sleep deprivation, there's one thing she knows for certain. She has everything she ever wanted. When a woman from his past arrives and makes a shocking accusation about his first wife, he always claimed her death was an accident, but she says it was murder. He insists he's innocent, that this is nothing but a blackmail attempt. But is Patrick telling the truth, or has Stephanie made a terrible mistake? And how will it end? This makes me think of that 80s movie, the one where like the woman is dead in the water. I can't think of what it's called. But it totally makes me think of that. And it has been loved by a lot of people I know that really enjoy thrillers. I'm surprised Shelf Love wasn't a fan, but I know that she's very into like character-driven stories. So if she doesn't like the characters in a book, she probably won't like the rest of the book. So that's probably a good explanation as to that. But yeah, I think I'm going to keep that on there, and I'm going to put that on the to buy list because I have a feeling that that is going to be a thriller that I'm going to enjoy and want to keep on my shelves. Playing Nice, I added to my list because I read another book by J.P. Delaney that I really enjoyed. So I'm going to add that in the to borrow list because I think the copy I read of the other book by J.P. Delaney was just a Kindle version. So there's probably no point in me collecting any more from that author. Mexican Gothic, I want to buy. I have heard mixed reviews, but I feel like the spookiness level of it is probably going to be up my alley. So we're going to give it a shot. Elementals by Matthew Alec. Evelyn Harp is more powerful than you could possibly believe. She has the ability to control soil, plants, trees, and flowers, with her best friend Luke being the only one who knows her secret. After one fateful day changes everything, these two friends embark on an adventure beyond their wildest dreams. They are soon joined by her elemental sisters, Wind, Fire, and Water. What? Where it's revealed she's a member of the Guardians, powerful warrior women who stretch back through history, who were created with a single purpose: to defeat an ancient evil that arises every few hundred years, intent on enslaving humanity. The Guardians must fulfill their birthright and send him back to the depths of hell. Yes, please. This sounds amazing. There is obviously a reason that 2020 Crystal thought that this was worth reading. So I'm going to add that to the to buy list. I feel like that'll be a really good book. The Blackheads, I definitely want to read, but I probably don't want to own it. I've heard it is quite young. Obviously, it is a YA. It's meant to be, but probably not worth adding to my collection. Dark Tide, I think I just got on the Instagram, everyone's talking about it. I think it can go. He Will Be My Ruin by K.E. Tucker. I definitely want to buy. I love K.E. Tucker. Everything I've read from her, I've really enjoyed. Conceal Don't Feel. The funny thing about this is I have every other single Twisted Tale out there. I chose not to request Conceal Don't Feel because it's a Frozen retelling. But I've heard it's worth it, but I'm kind of like, eh. But then I feel like I'm missing it because I don't have it in the collection. So I'm going to put it on the to buy list, but it's going to be one of those things I'll probably only buy if I can find it secondhand. The Girl in the Blue Coat, 100% I want to buy this. I saw Mama Llewellyn talk about this, and yeah, she sold me on it 100%. And same with The War Outside. She sold me on both of those books. Witches Steeped in Gold, probably a borrow one, not loving it enough to want to own a copy, but interested enough that I want to keep it on the list. Runaway King, Jennifer A. Nielsen. What else has she written? I feel like that name sounds really familiar, like I should know what she's written, but I just can't for the life of me think of what else she's written. Oh, The False Prince. Yes, I really enjoyed The False Prince. The Runaway King we can borrow because The False Prince I borrowed from the library. That's why her name sounds familiar, Crystal, because you've read one of her books. I am so sad that they didn't release a physical copy of Memento. That's why it's on my to-read list, but not like... I don't want to buy it unless they release a physical copy because it's just one of those things I'll probably only bother reading if I can get a physical copy. And to my knowledge, they haven't released a physical copy of it. So I'm kind of like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, I have the rest in physical copy, so I kind of want it to be physical too. My Dark Vanessa. I don't know if I'm ready to ever read this book. But I also want to experience it because I feel like it's worth it, but I don't know. Oh, I'm probably only ever going to borrow it if I do read it. I don't think I can invest in it. One by Run by Ruth Ware. I am not a huge Ruth Ware fan, but I've heard that this is her best one. But I think I just can't invest until I know I love it, so I'm going to borrow that one. House on the Cerulean Sea, I'm currently reading, so no idea what's coming up on my to be read shelf because I'm currently reading it. One to watch, we are going to borrow. We are not going to buy that. Again, just romance, don't really need it. Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I read the first in this series and I own the third on Libro FM because I got it as a Libro advanced reader copy. So I do want to definitely read this, but I'm not going to buy it because I haven't bought the other two. Another romance, You Met Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. Again, we're just going to borrow those. Romances, just no need for me to buy them. I don't know why. I just feel like I read them once and then that's it. Space Between Worlds, I would totally buy. I don't know why, but it just intrigues the crap out of me. Lakewood, I definitely want to buy. I've heard nothing but good things about that thriller. Stamped, I definitely want to purchase a copy of if I'm going to read it. And same with All the Boys Aren't Blue. The Hannah Artist, I probably just want to borrow just because I don't know if it's my kind of read. I know that everyone who reads it absolutely loves it. But because it is that kind of what would you call it? It's like that general fiction kind of literary fiction genre that it's just not my thing. After reading Aidan Thomas's other work, I am totally going to borrow Cemetery Boys. I had it on my want to buy list for a while, but I wasn't a huge fan of his Peter Pan retelling, and I know that everyone tells me that Cemetery Boys is 10 times better, but yeah, I can't buy it knowing that the other one was not a good time. Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. Again, we're just going to borrow this one. I don't think I'm going to bother continuing the American Royals series. So I think we can remove that one from the list. I buddy read the first one in the series with a group of girls, but yeah, just not my thing. Girl Surf at Thorn, I think, is another one I can say goodbye to. There's so many that I just added because I was like, felt like I had series FOMO. The Fable series I definitely want to buy. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because I want to try and get the hard copies so that the faces match, because the Australian edition is like a different cover and they don't like match up. So that's the only reason why I haven't bought it yet. Cinderella's Dead I definitely want to buy. Big Summer, I think I'm just going to take off the list. I don't know. Jennifer Weiner, I've had that on there for so long and I just haven't even, I think I've even seen copies of it available at stores and not even bothered to buy it. So clearly don't want to read it that much. Una Out of Order, we're going to put that on the to borrow list. Anything from Harlan Coben we're going to buy because I'm collecting everything from him. No One Is Watching by Lisa Cole. I just think we're just going to say goodbye to it. We're just going to do it. Now, I said we're going to 390, didn't I? Okay, so we're almost there. As I've mentioned before, if you do want a part 2 of this, let me know in the comments down below. Also, I want to say a huge thank you. I have recently reached 800 subscribers. I am so stoked, so thank you so much for everybody's support. I am obviously going to be cutting down to 3 days a week at work soon, so I will be able to focus a lot more on this channel. So if there's any video ideas you would like me to do, drop them in the comments down below and I will try and make them happen, of course. Hendrix, You Are Not Alone. This was an author ad because of Greer Hendrix, but I think I'm fine to just borrow that one. The Book of Lost Names was a historical fiction ad that I came across because I was doing my RTHF lists. So I'm definitely happy to borrow that one. Same with Where the Lost Wander. Black Sun, I definitely want to own a copy of. That cover is stunning. I've heard nothing but amazing things about that series. And I just feel like if I don't own it, when I read it, I'll be disappointed if I read like an ebook or a borrowed copy. Hands Down by Mariana Zapata. This is another one that I probably don't need to own a physical copy of. I just need to enjoy. I have a feeling this section here from 334 to 337 was after watching a haul, somebody's haul. I'm gonna say I have no idea whose, but yeah, I remember adding them all while I was doing a haul, watching someone's haul, and I was like, yep, that sounds amazing, that sounds amazing, that sounds amazing. But I'm happy to borrow these because most of them are romances, so I don't really need to own a physical copy of them. Brightlands by John Fram, I think was another got caught in the bandwagon, don't really need to keep it on there. But I do definitely want to do The Only Good Indians. I'm really sad. I could have got that for like a NetGalley, not NetGalley. I could have got it as a Libro FM ARC and I chose not to. And then I was like, damn it, missed out. But I think I'm happy to borrow that one. I don't really need a physical copy. I Will Judge You by Your Bookshelf. I feel like that'd be a cool one to own, so I'm going to add that on the to buy list. Tweet Cute, happy to just borrow that one because it's a romance. Hands on the Wall, I need to buy because I have the first 2 in the series. Extraordinaries by TJ Klune. After reading half of one of TJ Klune's books, I can guarantee that I'm going to want to buy it and end up with all of his books because the writing is just so good. Shadows Between Us, again, fantasy that I will want to probably own a copy of. I don't even remember adding this one. The Finisher. Let's discover together. Jane Vega. Welcome to Wormwood, a place where curiosity is discouraged and no one has ever left. Until one girl, Jane Vega, discovers a map that suggests a mysterious world beyond the walls, a world with possibilities and creatures beyond her imagination. But she will be forced to fight for her freedom, and unraveling the truth may cost Vega her life. I don't even know why I added this. Like, this sounds alright, but like I don't. Is there like another edition? No? Okay, no idea. We can say goodbye to that one. All That Glitters, I do want to own the Enchante series, so we're going to put that on the to buy list. Poisoned, I am so excited, so definitely to buy. Inheritance Games, heard mixed reviews about this series, but I still want to own it. I don't know why. It's just going to be there. Just going to add it. We are coming to an end. I am feeling confident about how many I'm removing from this list. I feel like I've made progress. Okay, so we've hit 390, which is the halfway mark. So that is fantastic. Thank you for coming along for the ride, guys. As I mentioned before, drop in the comments if there's any I got rid of that you think I should add back to. If there's any I've kept on that you think I should get rid of, let me know as well. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining, and I will see you in part 2 when we will go for the next 390 books and see how many of those I end up keeping. Have a great weekend and happy reading!